Hello and welcome everyone to the TeamBuildr podcast. Our guest today is Todd Hamer. Todd is videoing in out of Pittsburgh. And Todd, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself for our viewers out there?
I'm Todd Hamer, strength and conditioning coach at Robert Morris University. I'm in my 10th year at Robert Morris now. Prior to this, I was at George Mason University. Worked for a good friend, who's still a good friend of mine, still there, Handy Handerhan. Prior to that, I was the head strength coach at Marist College. I was at the Citadel, Virginia Commonwealth. I worked for 1 year outside strength and conditioning and diabetes research at Chapel Hill. And I had done an internship at the University of Pittsburgh for Buddy Morris prior to that.
Very cool. And Buddy Morris, he was recently in the social media airwaves with that. I think, Todd, that was you that posted that. The Jamaicans are just wiping the floor and in the track and field events, and Buddy Morris took to Instagram to say, hey, guys, you don't see very many Jamaicans doing speed ladders, do you?
You know, it's funny because many people say, oh, you're the guy that hates speed ladders, and I don't. I really don't. I dislike people spending hours and hours on such an obscenely simple thing to do. I think they're great in a rehab setting. It's funny, I joke with our athletic trainers. They always joke with me, oh, you hate the speed ladders. I'm like, no. Someone comes back from ACL, it's a very controlled, not very fast movement. It's great for that purpose. I think the problem becomes when someone takes it from, okay, you recover from your ACL, now I'm going to make you faster with it. I don't know if it's actually going to make you faster. Maybe it's cute for a warm-up, but that's about it.
So to put it simply, no one should be putting speed ladder guru in their Twitter bio, should they?
You know, I'm sure someone is, and I don't want to insult that person. I once knew someone who was contracted all throughout the country and traveled and got paid to teach speed ladder. I watched hours and hours of this person work. Maybe they know something I don't know.
Well, we'll leave it at that. But I wanted to throw the Buddy Morris thing out there because it was funny. It was colorful to see his opinion like that. And I've heard he's full of many other opinions.
You know what? Working for Buddy was great because Buddy, the thing I think that gets lost about Buddy quite often is everyone says he's great at controlling stress and managing stress. He's great at creating stress. And that's, I think, Brian Mann recently had an article on Elite FTS, which talked about the science of it and said, you have to coach your athletes first. And Buddy can coach on the floor like no one I've seen. And at the same time, he creates a lot of stress in his athletes. He pushes them hard. And I think sometimes that gets lost. People want to recover before they've done anything. And Buddy knows how to do stuff first. And that's what makes him special.
And that article that you just referenced by Brian Mann, we're going to get back to that later on in the podcast because it's a great one. But we'll go ahead and get into this in a minute. For all of you out there, my name is Hewitt Tomlin. I'm the founder of TeamBuildr, which is online strength and conditioning software for strength coaches. And our podcasts are just very informal. There's not a lot of structure to this. We just want to really talk about some valuable topics and just kind of spread the knowledge of other strength coaches out there. So that kind of brings me around to the first topic today. Not necessarily strength and conditioning related, but it's very related to who you are as a coach and as a person, Todd. And that's the fact that you are one of the most voracious readers out there in the strength world. You go on vacation and come back with like 15 books having been read. So can you talk a little bit about this? Talk about how you got started into reading so much, how it helps you as a strength coach, and we can kind of go from there.
Well, first I only read 6 books on vacation this year. But I did, luckily we were way up north on our vacation this year, and the sun comes up real early. So instead of getting up at 4:30, I get up about 4. So my son didn't get up till about 5:30. Gave me an hour and a half, just have some coffee and read every morning. But my wife has an undergrad degree in English and also a master's in English with her specialty being female British authors. I think there's 3 of them, Jane Austen, and Jane Austen. So she has read a lot, owns a lot of books. We in our home, we own a few thousand, I would guess. I on my bookshelf here, I have a couple hundred at work. I'm a collector of books. I am like an alcoholic of books where I just keep getting more. The library by us, luckily, I think 4 times a year has a book sale. It's $2 for paperback, $2 hardback, or on Sunday, $5 fill a grocery bag. So I go Friday to get the good stuff, and then I come back Sunday to scoop up whatever's like kind of in between because it's $5 for a bag. But to me, I've heard the adage, you'll be the same person you are in 5 years, minus the people you meet, the books you read. And I add to that also the experiences you have. I don't think you can be educated if you're not educated on the diverse topics, many topics, I guess. So I read everything. I try to read on any topic. Great book that just came out I picked up called What Fish Know. And basically it's from the guy who's the expert on fish in the world. He talks about what a fish actually knows, how much do they have a conscience? And I know a lot of people think, wow, this is really boring. But I eat fish. I love fish. They're delicious. I think I should understand them a little better. So that's something I'm reading right now. I'm usually working on about 3 or 4 at any given time. I'll have one at work, one at home, one in the car when I'm sitting out light while you guys are all texting. I'm reading. I'm the guy, everyone's waiting because I'm reading a book and you're beeping your horn at me. But I think to be a good coach, you have to read. And to be an educated coach, you have to read. I love reading strength and conditioning. But I more so love reading and pick up 10 new things for every book I read. So no matter what it is, it makes me look at the world a little differently. And also it makes me communicate to my athletes a little differently. I think that's the big thing from reading you gather is you learn something about your athletes. I just met 2 new women's basketball players, one from Slovakia, one who is Haitian via Canada. I don't know much about Slovakia. So I started asking her about it. And she starts telling me the countries around Slovakia. Well, there's Czech Republic. And so I'm tying together what I know to try to be able to communicate to this young lady, whose English is mediocre at best. Seems like she's going to be a really hard-working young lady. But if I can connect to her because I know something, because I can communicate with her a little better, then I have a better chance of making that athlete better. If I can't connect with her, forget it. The battle's lost. Because at the end of the day, no matter what our jobs are, we're all in a people game. If people don't trust you, then they're never going to purchase your product. They're never going to use you. They're never going to be around you. I don't remember where I read it the other day. And I think Rick Cantor was an assistant athletic director at Longwood who used to work for me. I think he might post on Facebook and said the 2 things people immediately think about you when they meet you is, can I trust this person and can I respect this person? And I think that really rocked my world because when we introduced, do you think about that when you're shaking someone's hand? You think, oh, this is a new person, nice to meet you. How about, are they going to trust me? What am I doing to develop that trust, to legitimize that trust? Also, are they going to respect me? I hope they can trust me. I hope they can respect me. But you know what? We really never know how we're perceived by others. But the more you read, the more you know, the better chance you have having a positive perception, I think.
In addition to what you said about being able to communicate better with athletes, what are some other ways where reading outside of strength and conditioning helps you as a coach? Maybe it's directly with interacting with athletes, or maybe it's with you personally and your productivity. Are there some other ways where you feel like it benefits? Yeah,
there's a ton. One of the gentlemen I've read every book he's written, Michael Pollan, who I consider a mentor of mine. Michael Pollan's written Food Rules in Defense of Food, Botany of Desire. He teaches out at, I want to say Cal Berkeley, and I've emailed him a bunch of times, just ask questions about food system, what we eat, how we eat. I think when you're going to talk nutrition with an athlete, you need to understand those things. I was lucky enough to sit down with Dr. Eric Serrano, who every strength and conditioning coach should know. Doc Serrano, we were just talking about training athletes, about how their diets and everything. And I said, Doc Serrano, when is strength and conditioning going to come to grips with Michael Pollan's work? What I mean by that is when is strength and conditioning going to understand where their food comes from matters? Instead of just, I have a muscle milk. I don't have a greater, I could care less about muscle milk, good, better, and different. People think, oh, it has X amount of protein. They look at the macronutrients in muscle milk or chocolate milk or whatever it is they're drinking, or where did it come from? Is it actually healthy? Is it from the earth? These things do matter in our performance, and I think that has taught me so much. When Michael Pollan came here to speak, I was lucky enough to do an NPR thing with him. And it was really cool because I was driving home and I heard myself coughing on NPR. I was like, that's me next to Michael Pollan, because they cut it down so much. But I think learning things such as that, but also at the same time, I've had athletes who contact me when they know the book sale's going on. To me, that's a chance to make a connection with that athlete. It's going to make them trust me a little more. It goes back to trust and respect. Clearly, they respect me. Clearly, they trust me. I had a young lady text me the other day and say, Hamer. I'll be back in campus next week. I've read 3 books this summer. I've never done that before. Thank you. What's next? What do you recommend? I said, when you get back to campus, I'm going to lend you. Everyone should read Dark Days, The Lead Singer, Lamb of God. His time in the Czech prison. That book, I read 450 pages. I think I read in 3 days. Couldn't put it down. But Randy Blythe's story is absolutely amazing, how he ended up getting arrested for manslaughter in the Czech Republic. But he really made me rethink being a soft human being, because I'm in this Czech prison, and it's just a terrible place, 23 hours in a dungeon, 1 hour out in the sunlight. And some guy, an American, wrote on the wall, "Why me? Why am I here?" And he didn't use good words, but he said, "This guy's so soft. I don't believe this guy's an American. We're tougher than this. Get over it. Quit feeling bad for yourself." And I'm thinking, you're in a Czech prison. You're allowed to feel bad for yourself. But it made me realize that we are tougher than we give ourselves credit for sometimes. Whether you're sitting in an office in Pittsburgh or whether you're in a Czech prison, it's up to you how you feel about life and how you go through each and every day. And that really kind of blew my mind. That'll stick with me forever.
It's you're reading. I doubt that many people who don't read now can go from 0 to 6 books in a week. Reading is something like anything else, where if you start a little bit at a time, you can get up to building some momentum and some tolerance and stamina, and you can get quite a bit done. Is that how you experienced your reading? Were you always?
Absolutely. I was a terrible student as an undergrad. I go back to Penn State and speak sometimes for the academic side of the campus, and I always have to apologize to my old professors who are still there. I'm like, I'm sorry I was a bad student. I should have been a better student 20 years ago. But I can't go back now, so I'm going to do all I can now. I always have young interns come to me and they say, "I can't read." I say, "What do you mean?" I read a page and I go, "What did I just read? I can't ever recall it." I say, "Yeah, it's like squatting. First time someone comes in and squats, their entire body hurts. It's miserable. They go, well, I'm never doing it again." And then the second time it gets a little better. Third time it gets a little better. Fourth time. And then eventually you can come in and squat and actually walk home because your body doesn't hurt that bad. Reading's the same way to me. It's just practicing the brain, getting those synapses to connect a little bit. You read a page, you forget. Well, you reread it. You try harder. It's effort. And to me, so many people in our industry, we love to talk about effort, put effort in. And then you hear the young strength coach, "Well, I'm not real big on reading." Well, you have to put effort into it. You have to commit to it. And it's not going to be easy. Building a 400-pound bench press is not always easy. Blood, sweat, and tears along the way. You think reading 10 books is easy? So to me, it's just, start with something. Read The Cat in the Hat. I read it to my son every night. Hopefully we can go a little beyond The Cat in the Hat. But I think the leadership books are pretty easy to read when you look at Malcolm Gladwell, anything he's written. Very easy to read. I think it's very accessible for the strength coach. And there's a lot of leadership lessons in Malcolm Gladwell or any of the leadership genre. You can take those ideas they have and put them directly into action. Obviously, one of my favorite books I read this summer was Sammy the Bull, Underboss, about his life basically being a mafia hitman. That's going to be harder to relate to strength conditioning. Maybe that's not the first book you read. That book was awesome. I mean, the stories they had, you're like, it's like the movie Goodfellas. That's going to be harder to relate. But if you take Malcolm Gladwell and read Outliers, Great Blink, I forget. But any of those books, you can say immediately, I can use this in my weight room today. I can use this with my athletes today. I can take these leadership principles and put them into action today. And I think that's where a lot of strength coaches start. One book everyone's read, which I'll be honest with you, I don't like, is Mind Gym. Everyone talks about Mind Gym. I read Mind Gym. And I'm just, it's okay. I'm just not a huge fan of the book personally. But I think it's a good start to get into that idea. You start with something like that. It's easy to read, has some very applicable ideas to you. It's things that a strength coach can just jump right into. Read it. Okay, here are 3 things I can start tomorrow to make my weight room, my university, my team, whatever, better.
Cool. We're going to hop topics here. We're going to move on to something else. Todd, you're obviously a contributor to Elite FTS, a writer. Brian Mann is as well. Brian wrote an article that took off this summer about how technology has grown conditioning, and Brian was just trying to bring a little bit of perspective to that conversation by saying that technology, in the end, as impressive as it is, only assists coaches. It does not lead them. Coaching is immensely still more popular. And within that technology category, we group sports science. And you and I have talked before, and I've heard you talk to other people about it. Sports science is exciting and new and potentially has a lot of merit, but at the same time, it has some fallacy because sports itself has this reality perspective. And I'll kind of let you take it from there. What about sports science does not excite you because of the way sports is played?
I think to start with Brian's article, first I have to say I write for Elite, and it's an honor just to be with Mark Watts and Brian Mann and associate with those guys. They're so good at what they do, and they're so smart. And I talk to those guys all the time because they kind of scare me with things they say, because they say words, I have to Google them, so I act like I know what they're talking about. But to me, I think Brian just hit the nail on the head with that article. He said, I saw a young strength coach looking at a Tendo unit or a gym aware, I forget, say, good job, and he said, looking, the kid's doing terrible form. So we're putting the cart before the horse. We're looking at a number saying great speed, but it has to be technically proficient. You have to coach the crap out of it. I talked earlier about how Buddy Morris coaches the crap out of the lift and the athlete. When I was an intern at Pitt, the hospital was across the street, and Buddy was doing bodybuilding shows back in those days. My job was to take a $5 bill, to walk across, get 2 grilled chicken breasts and a Diet Coke for Buddy's lunch. And Buddy would sit there on the bench while athletes were coaching, eating the grilled chicken breast with his fingers, didn't wash or anything, that was good bacteria, drinking his Diet Coke. That was his treat for the day, because he was on the floor, and he didn't leave the floor until the day was done. How many coaches can truly say they do that? I'm not saying everyone has to do it, but that's experience coaching on the floor. And I think that's some of what's missing these days is there's a lot more strength coaches out there than there was. If you think in 1999, I was an intern at Pitt. In the Pittsburgh region, there was 4 or 5 strength coaches. Pitt had a couple. I think Duquesne had one. And that gentleman still in the field, and I feel bad I can't recall his name right now. Robert Morse did not have any. There was no D2s in the area that had any. And there also wasn't 48 performance gyms in the region. Nowadays, you have hundreds of them. Well, so how much coaching can each of those people be doing versus what they did 15 years ago? Because there's just hundreds of coaches nowadays for roughly the same amount of athletes. There's roughly the same amount of people in the Pittsburgh region. So, one, I don't think we have the coaching experience coming through. That being said, if I were to try to enter the field today, I wouldn't be able to do the job. When I look at what it takes to be an intern today, I wouldn't have been prepared for it. Luckily, I came in 1999 when you could be a little stupider and work your way into the job and learn things by making mistakes. The competition now, just due to all the exercise science students that come out, is obscene. I mean, it's amazing. I'll have a part-time position and get resumes, and I'm like, this person's phenomenal. They have a lot of experience. They're very good at what they do. Still missing sometimes, like I said, is that, for lack of a better term, under-the-bar coaching experience. And what Brian talked about was staring at your gym aware, staring at your heart rate monitor, and not staring at your athlete. And I couldn't agree with him anymore. I love the heart rate monitors. We talked about doing heart rate variability here. We chose not to use that. Our concern is if the athlete sees a bad day, are they going to let that control the mind? Or are they going to mentally overcome that bad day? Because you know what? If you have a great day on a Sunday, but we don't train on Sundays, and then Monday comes back and your heart rate variability is all out of whack, well, we still have to train on Monday, just logistically. Sunday is an NCAA, we have to have 24 hours off, so we give you Sunday. We have to train Monday. So am I going to let that training go by the wayside? Am I going to tell you, hey, suck it up? I have to be an artist then and do a little bit of both. I have to figure out, one, can I trust this athlete? Are they being legit? Once we have that relationship, then I can say, okay, this athlete, they're truly fatigued. Let's change the percents of them. And that's the coaching that I think Brian was talking about missing. You see the first few reps and go, they just look like crap. How you feeling? I'm dragging today, man. I had 4 tests. My girlfriend broke up with me, and my dog died. Wow, that's a rough day, brother. Let's back things down a little bit, as opposed to letting a machine come in. I'm not anti-technology. I'm just not an early adopter. I'll let other people do that and then kind of flush down what is productive out of it. Because I promise you, not all of it is productive. Some of it's going to be great, some is going to be okay, and some is going to be garbage.
let's talk about the topic that you just mentioned, which is the quality of people entering the strength and conditioning industry. This new generation of younger coaches, because you've been in the game a while, what's it like, and how is that going to change what a strength coach looks like 10 years from now?
I have no idea what we'll be doing 10 years from now. I do think the technology will keep pushing forward, and I think that's a good thing. I think it'll be safer than it is now. I'm wondering if on game day, if we're going to be watching GPS units on game day. I think it was in that article, or maybe someone, I don't remember where I heard it, but someone said, what are you doing when you're a young sports scientist and you're standing on the sideline at Oklahoma and you look at the coach and say, hey, coach, we got to take Billy out of the game. Why? 3 straight plays he redlined. 3 straight plays he's too fatigued. The coach says, those last 3 plays were touchdowns by Billy. He's staying in the game. Where's the balance with that? Are you watching the game or are you watching the data? If he scored touchdowns every play, listen, man, you're not pulling him out of the game. So I do think that sports science is going to continue to move forward. I think that's a great thing. But what are our responsibilities, and how much authority do we actually have to make decisions? I heard about the new kind of Band-Aid things that start telling you what you're sweating and dehydration levels. Again, am I going to have to sit at practice and watch every single person's dehydration level, and do I have the authority to pull them out of the game? I think these are all questions for the young strength coaches and us old guys, I guess, now. Where are we going to be in 10 years? I don't know. Are we going to be married to athletic training in that way, where us and the athletic trainers are sitting on the field watching everything we do? I don't have the answer. What I would like to see is us understand that both the art and the science come together so that we can improve our coaching, our interpersonal relationships, how we communicate to the athletes, how we deal with our athletes. Also working with our life skills people, I think, is obscenely important. I think that kind of gets lost in the whole mix, because at the end of the day, you wake up, like I said, and you click on your heart rate variability and it's off. Well, in the real world, no one cares. When you get a job after this, no one's going to care if you don't feel good today. They want you to produce and do the job. And I think part of our job is to let them understand, hey, I understand you feel bad. We have this work to do. Here it is. It has to get done. The sports science side is great. But also, when we look at the sports science side, and I think it's important to remember that most of us are not working with the same goal. I had a football 2 hours ago. I was downstairs with football freshman lift. I said, this is what we're going to do. I have no idea where your weights are going to be. Me and my staff are going to be walking around the room, checking. You go up when you feel like going up. And we're going to watch. And we're just going to. And a couple things I wanted to see there is, one, how did they look, obviously. But 2, I want to see who's going to slap a little weight on and who's not. That first couple workouts, I just want to watch and see who's a little more aggressive and who's less aggressive in the way they're attacking the weight, attacking the bar. I had some guys that looked, I was like, this guy's a freak, this guy's going to be good, this guy's strong, this guy's hardworking. I had others who I thought, dear God, if they get on the field, we might be in trouble. Now, I've been wrong. Sometimes those dear God guys turn out to be freaks of athletes and hard workers and successful. Other times the other guys don't. But part of my job is to learn about them at that point and just get an idea of obviously how their technique is, obviously how they move, but also, are they pushing themselves? Are they going to push those around them? Are they sitting down between sets? Body language, how are they approaching it? And there's no technology that can tell me the body language of an athlete better than me looking at them. Are you standing up straight? And one freshman sitting down between sets, I said, we don't sit down, please stand up in between sets. Now, I'll chalk that one up to I'm freshman. I don't know any better. I don't know if that means that kid's lazy yet. If it happens again, then we have a problem. Then we're going to have issues. And then we're going to figure out if this kid's going to just be a little lazy. And we're going to have to help get him out of that.
Let's stay on the topic of student athletes, because in the end, this is what it's about. I don't want to get caught up thinking that it's all about strength and conditioning or all about the products or the equipment that they use. In the end, we do what we do because of the athletes walking in the room. You talk multiple times, and I always love when you talk about the diversity of athletes that come through RMU. There are colleges and high schools who more or less might have a homogeneous population. I understand that's not the case with you, which is a challenge and a blessing. Can you talk a little bit about your student athletes, how you approach them, and what your philosophy is behind connecting with athletes, in addition to what you said earlier about trust and respect?
Well, first off, you look at our women's basketball team. Since I've been here, we've had a few from Greece, one from Slovakia, a bunch of Canadians, France, Spain, Italy, Dominican Republic, obviously really all over the place. I remember one year, I think we had 2 Americans on the team. That's really fun to work with. Then you look at football. Football to me is the ultimate diversity sport. From your linemen, your defense backs are usually very different people from very different backgrounds, just different human beings. Obviously, men's basketball, we have some Europeans, but most of our kids are just inner city kids who grew up in the city. And I always joke that the odds of me and them ever sitting down and just BSing the way we do sometimes, but it was slim to none in life. Just where we grew up was very different than a lot of my athletes. So we have just an immense amount of diversity here. And to be honest, I love it, because one of the great parts of my job is when I kind of get sick of seeing one person, someone else comes in the door. So it's like, all right, I've seen you. Let me see someone else. I need a little break from you. And each of our teams, has its own personality. I once had someone ask me, how do you coach this team? Do you coach like a men's team or a women's team? And I said, I don't know what that means. And they said, well, I think you should coach like a men's team, not a women's team. And I said, every team's unique based on the athletes, based on the coach, based on how the coach approaches what they do every day, based on the university. So I don't have one set rule. Football teams are treated this way, men's basketball this way, women's basketball this way. So to me, it's about just getting to know the athlete and trying to connect. Now, with the diversity, I think it's cool because I've learned so much. I have learned so much. I'd say about once a month I get a package at my house from some international address with international stuff, candy, food, shoes, whatever it is. That's really cool, and stuff, obviously getting stuff's cool, but learning about where they're from, what it's like in their homeland, what it's like, when they were growing up is absolutely amazing to me. And we had a girl joined us from Toulouse, France. Lou's a great kid, loved her. She graduated last year. I didn't know her junior year, and she came to me and said, hey, did you hear about what happened to me in Paris? And she was on the national team, and things didn't work out. And it was just kind of a bad falling out with the team there before she ended up playing for us. And before I heard that story, I never thought about, hey, maybe this kid didn't have a perfect upbringing. No, I mean, she has 2 loving parents, lives in a nice town, everything. But I think at that moment it kind of humanized her more so to me than before I knew that. Like, oh, here was something that was hard on this person before they came here. They overcame it, and now they're here having success. This young lady went on, tore 2 ACLs, never missed a season of basketball. Both she tore it midway through the season, was back for the next season. Still was a starter her senior year. Was able to play against UConn and Notre Dame in the NCAA tournaments, which was pretty cool. So I think just learning about the diversity of your student athletes, where they're from, what they do, their culture. To me, food is such a connector with that. Share a plate of food from where someone's from their nationality. You'll learn so much about them. I am a big believer that breaking bread with another person is the best thing you can do. Sitting down for lunch and just talking. And when you can connect it to their culture, it changes everything. So to me, we've had a bunch of Greek girls, find some olives and hummus. It doesn't have to be fine Greek hummus. I don't know where the best Greek restaurant in Pittsburgh is. Actually, I do. It's pretty good, too, now that I think about it. But that's a great way to connect with them, through the food, through the history of where they're from, and understand all of that with the diversity. Like I said, when you look at a football team, we have guys from everywhere. We have a lot of Miami guys, a lot of Ohio, a lot of Pennsylvania, and they're very different people. I love talking to the Miami guys. I have one guy in the team. He speaks sort of a Creole thing, and I never know what he's saying. And I call him Boomhauer. If you've ever seen the show, was that on Fox, a cartoon, King of the Hill, there was a guy named Boomhauer, and no one knows what he's saying. He just has this Texas mumble. Well, this guy's Creole mumble. I have no idea what he's saying, so I call him Boomhauer now. And he seems to like it. I don't know. It was the moment we connected. And a lot of people say, do you call him Boomhauer, like that cartoon character? I'm like, yeah, you have no idea what this guy's saying. He comes in, oh, ham, I did. I'm like, I don't, is that word? What he's saying to me. But I think that's just an opportunity to connect with that person.
That's cool. We're going to wrap up here soon. Todd, go ahead and obviously we'll tell people where they can be in touch with you. Obviously, you write articles on Elite FTS, but what other outlets are there for you on the web or in person?
I love utilizing Facebook. It's funny. Me and my sisters were talking to today when I said I never use it. And I said I use it all the time because I talk to 5 to 6 strength professionals a day on it just to get ideas, steal things. I use Twitter. I just under Todd Hamer. I don't know. I'm not a huge Twitter guy. I can't figure it out most of the time. Not smart enough. And then obviously anyone can email me, and my cell number's on my Facebook page, so it's not hard to get. Anyone can call or text me as well. If you want to email me, I might check my email once a week. I actually did a very liberating thing and took my email off my phone. And it was awesome. So when I sit down on a computer, I check my email, which is about probably 3 times a week. So I'm not real good at returning emails daily, but I try to be as much of an open book as possible. Our weight room, our doors are wide open. I love having visitors because to me, a visitor is just someone's going to come in and give me something new, teach me something. I was lucky a few years back. I brought Todd Berkey, who's at Youngstown, up for the day, and I didn't know Todd that well. And one of the reasons why I called him, I said, I want you to come watch me do my job. I said, I know you train basketball at Youngstown, so just come and watch me for a few hours, and then give me some pointers. Because if I brought some friends in here, guys I was really tight with, they'd be like, no, you did a great job. Let's go have a beer now. You know, where I brought an outsider in, and he gave me about a 5-page report on how he thought I did my job, which was really enlightening, you know. And he said, I love this, I love this. Maybe you could tighten this up a little. You know, he made a great point. He said, I've counted how many exercises you guys are doing this week. And it's, I don't know, 32. So these 32 independent movements or whatever the number was. It's just too many. When I went back through our program, I looked at it, he's right. We need to get better at the basics. And it was a simple thing that I wouldn't have thought of if he wouldn't have told me that to me. Now Todd's become a good friend of mine and someone I bounce ideas off all the time.
Cool. Cool. Well, Todd, thank you for your time. Much appreciated. I expect that a lot of people should be getting in touch or at least looking you up on Facebook and these other medias. We'll have more stuff. Like I said, Todd's contributed to the TeamBuildr blog before. I hope that you will find the time to do that again because we really enjoy your stuff. And we'll see you around because we're in the same area at the NSA clinics and conferences and all that good stuff. So we'll definitely cross paths again.
Well, thanks for having me.
Of course. Have a good day.